Hey there poetry pals, welcome back to another video. This week I'll be reviewing Stefan Mohamed's Farewell Tour. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book, the themes and the structure. I'll talk about the poems themselves and let you know my favourites. And then I will make my reading experience recommendations. But before we go any further, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. The engagement really helps small creators like me get found. Also, my debut collection, Faulty Manufacturing, is coming out in March and you can pre-order a copy or buy a ticket to my book launch. All the links are in the description down below. Farewell Tour was published in September 2022 by Verve Poetry Press. Sounds familiar. They're publishing my book too. So, Stefan Mohamed is a performing poet, author and creative writing tutor based in Bristol. He is the author of the Bitter 16 Trilogy and Falling Leaves from Salt Publishing, spoken word collection Panic, published by Burning Eye Books, and poetry pamphlet The Marketplace of Ideas, which is from Stewed Rhubarb, I think it is. He also has a YouTube channel. He's one of us, guys. I will link to it in the description down below. So let's talk about the collection as a whole. I'm going to level with you. This is hands down one of the weirdest poetry collections I've read. And I mean that as a compliment. It tells the story of a road trip at the end of the world. It is set in an apocalyptic Britain. Even though all of the place names that are mentioned here are made up, at least I'm pretty sure they're all made up. Everything about the writing tells us that this is a road trip around a fictional yet all too real United Kingdom. The first piece is a prose poem called Road Trip. It is written in the second person. You, the reader, are going on this road trip. You are either two best buds on their first big adventure, two fiery lovers grasping for clarity, spouses comfortably fading on a final quiet pilgrimage, estranged siblings paying off an unspoken debt, or strangers united under the unlikeliest of circumstances. It doesn't matter. You are set up as one of those things. You bring as much context to this as the book gives to you. And throughout the collection, there are these second-person poems that serve to move the story of the collection and the road trip forward. Interestingly, the second poem is called Itinerary, which tells you the route of the road trip. It almost serves as a second contents page because it does reference our route throughout the road trip and the collection too. It includes a load of nonsense place names that sound really British and also really grim. This is referenced in a later poem called Toponymy, which is about naming places. The collection then goes on to this road trip, commenting on the end of the world and how some of that is our fault. It discusses politics, social media, nationhood and language itself. It is surreal and weird and frustrating and at points strangely beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about the poems themselves. They vary in structure. We have these huge prose poems that are dense and overwhelming. We have list poems, we have short lines, we have pieces playing with fonts and space on the page, and we end on a traditional Shakespearean sonnet. I have to say, I think Stefan executes all of these forms really well, but his use of language and imagery is incredible throughout too. Okay, so on to my favourites and least favourite poems. Least favourite first. My least favourite poem is one called Normal Island. It is one of these heavy prose poems and it is an advert for a sitcom and it is this relentless listing of events and scandals that people would want to watch. It sounds like a series of headlines in tabloid journalism in the UK. It is a commentary on the attention economy, on daytime TV and trashy magazines and tabloids, all of that vibe. It's my least favourite, not because it isn't well executed, it is actually very well done. The final sentences, "don't look away, don't you bloody dare," are excellent. But because it is a slog to read, it is long. It's over two pages. It's almost 2.5 pages long. It is heavy and relentless, which is the point, but I found reading it really hard going. I stopped caring by the end, which I guess is also the point. Now, my favourite poem is Pint Glasses. It is quietly optimistic and I love it. It made me feel warm and fuzzy, which was welcome after what is somewhat of a depressing read. Depressing in a good way, I mean. If you have read this book, let me know in the comments which one your favourite poem was. So, on what has become a bit of a tradition with my book reviews, I'm going to give you my recommendations on how I think you should read this book. First of all, the collection is 78 pages. It has heft. There is a lot going on in each poem, and I think this is a collection you should read twice. I enjoyed this collection so much on the second reading. So with that in mind, I think it is unlikely that you will read it in one go, and you should definitely go back and read it at least twice. So with that in mind, I recommend taking it on a road trip. I recommend stopping in lay-bys and little chefs and at the tops of hills to read a little bit before moving on. Or, at the very least, imagine you are on a road trip whilst you read it. Secondly, the drink pairing. If you're drinking alcohol, I would recommend a pint of lager as cheap as you can stand. If you can go all the way to Carling, I suggest you do. If you're not boozing, then I think this collection would pair well with an energy drink or like a bog standard coffee. Just a little something, a little bit of caffeine to get your anxiety tickling. Thirdly, snacks. I was actually eating a Greggs vegan sausage roll while I read this, and I reckon anything from Greggs would go well, or a full English breakfast. So, to sum up, this collection is fantastic. I found it funny, irreverent, complex and depressing. I want to read this collection again and again to pick up on all the references I missed the first time. That is the joy of this collection. But be warned, this will trigger your existential dread. If you ever find yourself worrying about this country and where it is going, you will find company in this collection, but it won't necessarily make you feel better or offer any solutions. Other than the poem Pint Glasses, I really did enjoy it. So my question to you is, have you read this book? Let me know what you thought in the comments. And if you haven't read this book, do you reckon you will give it a go based on my review? Right, recommendations for if you like this book or you're interested in, the apocalypse, then I think you should also read Near Future by Susanna Evans. I have reviewed that book on this channel before, and also The Last Custodian by Stephen Lightbound. I really think that The Last Custodian and this farewell tour pair well together, them being a road trip around a post-apocalyptic Britain. I think those two would go really nicely together. So definitely, if you enjoyed this book, read Near Future by Susanna Evans, and make sure you read Stephen Lightbound's The Last Custodian as well. It's about a wheelchair user who wheels himself around the country after everyone dies. Fascinating stuff. So if you have a book that you would like me to review, let me know, and make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. It really helps small creators like me get found. My debut poetry collection, Faulty Manufacturing, is out in March 2023 and is available for pre-order. You can also buy tickets for online or in person for my launch party, and the links are in the description down below. You can support me by following me on social media. I am @JosieAlfordPoet on all the things. And you can support the channel with your wallet by buying me a coffee or joining me on Patreon. The links to do both are in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next week. Bye.